able to change my situation. So I ain't got to go to find him because he already found me. And the Bible says, wherever the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Tell somebody who you connected to that brings the result that you're looking for. What you got to understand is, if I'm connected to him, and if he says there's liberty, that means that where I am, there's freedom. Even though I'm facing issues. How do you blow the devil's mind? You blow the devil's mind by smiling when he's trying to disconnect you. Because he figured something wrong. I'm throwing all this at him, and they still smiling. I'm kicking them and stepping, and they still smiling. You got to understand, when you're connected, you are never long in the fight. So when you fall, what you're connected to is going to lift you back up. The thing the Lord showed me in this, who time is running. Y'all gonna have to come back and get part 2, same station, same channel, same place. We ain't going nowhere. What's this? You gotta understand that what I saw in Joshua was a new beginning. So what the Lord told me to declare in end time is a new beginning, which means I'm gonna start hooking you up with folks that is about to take you over. What's this? The Bible says that you must prepare. Y'all got to read this. I'm just paraphrasing. The thing that I love about Joshua is, it is a man that's on in. So now what I understand is when they came to Jordan, and they stood before Jordan, and the first verse and second verse represent seasons. Because now it tells him that you must cross over. Touch somebody and tell them there's a season in your life that is designed to move you forward. But remember, there is always a season. If you can adjust to the season, you can reap the benefits of that season. Y'all missed it. You can enjoy winter if you got the winter coat. That's right. Y'all missed it. Y'all missed it. Because when you go outside, you can enjoy the snow without freezing. If you cover, tell somebody if you cover. It doesn't matter what atmosphere you step into. If you got the right covering, if you dress right, the Bible said put on the whole armor. That means you can't leave anything out. Put on that you might be able to withstand. That means withstand is a sentence view that things are going to come against you. Yes, sir. So in order to dress to handle what comes against you, God gives you an armor to deal with what comes against you. Notice he talks about the breastplate. Oh, I'm going somewhere else. We ain't going to go somewhere else. Now, when I was looking at Joshua, the thing that I love about this, I'm going to cut it short, but if y'all come back next Sunday, he says, I need you to get the peoples ready for the blessing. Here's what the Lord hit me with. He said, it's not so much the pastor that initiates the blessing, but he leads people into the blessing. He said, but if the peoples are delivered, y'all missed it, then the blessing comes because of the deliverance of the people. But if the peoples are not delivered, they are not ready to cross over. But notice this, before they cross over, the Bible says that he brought them to Jordan. And they set camp for 3 days. 3 days is a good number. Tell somebody 3 days is a good number. Christ stayed in the grave. Wait a minute. Somebody else over there. What's this? He stayed in the grave 3. Jonah stayed in the belly of the fish for. Joshua had 3 assignments. Praise and worship. Resurrection. Look at somebody and tell them, in the third day, there's resurrection coming. Watch this. But in order to get to resurrection, he brought them to where they were. Now the Bible said there are seasons which implement that in our lives we're going to have seasons that's going to be at a place where it's going to change. Watch this. But the Bible said at this certain time that God told, now watch this. It just so, I cannot use a little bit of Jake words. It just so happened that at this particular time God told them to move, Jordan was overflowed. In other words, in a certain season you can cross Jordan without an issue. But at this particular time, God allowed them to wait 3 days past, which allowed things to change. In other words, he was going to perfect their move within the 3 days. So he had to delay them for 3 days in order for them to be sanctified. Tell somebody, you cannot go into Canaan and possess the land wearing the same old stuff you come out of the desert with. Y'all missed that. So God said, what I'm going to do, because in the desert with Moses, there was those that had the promise that couldn't make it because they began to question God in a season that was made to trust him. The Bible says he eliminated all except Joshua because he was the second man that was assigned to carry them over. What you got to understand is that you can't inherit the inheritance carrying old stuff from your past. Why, Pastor? Because the enemy will use old stuff to hold you up from crossing over. Y'all listen. So now Joshua had them to settle. Tell somebody, settle. Don't be so anxious to run somewhere. Settle. Because God, he said, now what I need you to understand is that the people that was in the desert with Moses was already circumcised. Y'all ain't got this. So now the reason why they wanted to go back, tell somebody, I ain't going back, is because they felt they were more comfortable where they were and didn't have to deal with the desert season that they were in to get them to the promised land that they wanted. But sometimes you got to deal with some desert issues in order to get to Canaan to receive the promise. But in the same time, you got to be watchful for God, because while they was in the desert, God was still making way. But because they was uncomfortable, made them think about their past. They say, is it not graves in Egypt? You bring us out here to die? But watch this. Everything happened for a reason. In the desert, God said, what I'm going to do is bring some desert babies. Yeah. What do you mean desert babies? Those that haven't been circumcised. Those that don't know nothing about Egypt. But they was born into a season where everything was dry. Where there wasn't a Walmart. And there wasn't a 7-Eleven and stop and go. Where there wasn't a Sears. Where there wasn't all of the automakers where you can drive. He said, I'm going to create some desert babies in desert season, because these are going to be the ones that understand that they didn't have the silver spoon in their mouth, but they was created in a place that was dry, but they're going to see firsthand how I'm going to bring them out of this. So now he said, sanctify yourself, which means that you got to pull off everything that will hinder you going into the new place. In other words, when they got to Jordan, the Bible says that the Jordan was overflow, which means there are seasons when you're going to face stuff that look like it's greater than where you are. That means that you're going to face things that look like it's going to take you under. Jordan became impassable to the natural eye, but passable to the spiritual eye. When they reached Jordan, he said, strip him and circumcise him. Tell somebody you got to get ready to go over. You can't just go over with all the stuff you've been carrying through the years. You got to learn how to shake some stuff out and understand that you got to separate from some things and some folks of your past, because the enemy will make you guilty of past issues that God died for. And if you can accept the charges, then he has the right to hold you back from your promise. But they stepped in and he said, wait a minute, here's instruction. He said, come together. He said, when you see the ark move, which represents the commitment and commandment that God has, he said, you got to learn to stay at a distance so you can see what's happening. For the Bible said that he's about to take you away that you never seen before. Take you to a place you've never been before. Watch this. If God's going to do a new thing, that means he has to take you somewhere you never experienced before. Because a new thing means something that you have never experienced or dealt with in order to get your faith to increase. So when they got to Jordan, he said, before you get to Jordan, I'm going to start allowing you to collect property, wherever the sole of your feet. You can claim it. Touch somebody. But notice that they was moving forward. You got to move forward to claim what's yours. You can never stand still and claim property. You only can claim it if you're moving. So he told them, wherever the sole of your feet steps, it will become yours. Why? Because now you're not standing still, you're moving.